Social Psychology and the Effects It Has on People by Donna Ayers. Introduction: Self-concept, self-esteem, social perception, networking sites and their relationship with adolescents, consumers' responses to a negative word of mouth, attribution theories, and social comparison is what we will look at. Self-concept. Kaysen-Finn and Marcus discuss self-concept as the sum total of beliefs that people have about themselves. Self-concept as individuals perceive themselves, which deals with their looks, their weight, their overall image of themselves, and how others perceive them. Self-concept also plays an important role in how individuals react to others and how comfortable they are with the individual. If the individual is self-conscious of their image, then they will not be open with other people, thus making it difficult for the individual to make friends easily or even acquiring a relationship with the opposite sex. Self-esteem. Self-esteem is the way an individual feels about themselves. Almost like self-concept, but self-esteem deals with more in-depth feelings about yourself. Self-esteem deals with how an individual rates or evaluates their self. Self-representation is affiliated with self-esteem in the way in which people try to shape what other people think of them and what they think of themselves. Social perception. Social perception is the way that people come to understand one another and accept them for who they are. Social perception, in other words, is how society perceives everyone they come in contact with, whether it be by their behavior or an impression they have about the individual when they first meet them. An individual's appearance isn't everything that someone should look at when they meet someone. It is when they get to know them and look on the inside as well. Networking sites and their relationship with adolescents. As a growing society, it is important for all adolescents to form friendships, whether it be in person or on some form of social media. Children nowadays are internet-oriented and are on some form of electronics several hours out of the day. Networks such as Friendster, MySpace, and Facebook have become primary websites for adolescents to use to maintain a network of friends. The consequences that come with these websites have become increasingly peer-related as far as communicating with other adolescents and gaining knowledge of everyone they meet online. Knowing all about each other and what they are doing at all times seems to be the overall theme with these adolescents. All peers are looking for the acceptance and interpersonal feedback, and with these websites, both of these are important features. Networking sites have been as a negative effect on adolescents for their well-being and their self-esteem. Networking sites and their relationship with adolescents. Networking websites such as Facebook and MySpace have positive and negative effects on adolescents. As Valkenburg and his associates discussed, there are many factors that attribute to these networking sites, having some positive and negative effects on adolescents. The research they conducted showed there was some positive effects on adolescents with their self-esteem when they had a positive experience with their profile, but there were others who had negative experience when another adolescent did not like them or said harsh things, causing a decrease in their self-esteem. During the study done by Valkenburg and his associates, they found that 35% of adolescents formed a relationship while on social media, and 8% or more formed a romantic relationship. These findings did not have any effect on their social self-esteem, but research did show that the negative effects from others did have an impact on these adolescents' self-esteem and their well-being. Consumers' responses to negative word of mouth. As Lasnik, DiCarlo, and Ramsamy discussed, word of mouth as an important marketplace phenomenon by which consumers receive information relating to organizations and their offerings. Word of mouth is thought to have a bigger influence on consumers buying than watching commercials on television. Lasnik and his associates discussed that their research discovered word-of-mouth communication generates causal attribution with negativity and used to influence brand evaluations. These studies showed that well-organized and compelling negative word-of-mouth communication can have a direct effect on brand evaluations. Attribution theories. In social psychology, the term attribution means answers to why questions and inferring traits form behavior, ascribing blame to a person. There are many theories of attribution, such as Heider's theory, which states his models of attribution for object perception and person perception. Heider's discussed his object perception as how people perceive each other in interaction and how they make sense of their behavior. Heider also discussed his person perception as a variance which refers to the agent's ongoing behavior, and the invariance refers to the inferred perceptions and motives. Jones and David's abandoned theory of explanation, which infers a perceiver a stable disposition, which is a personality trait or attitude, from an agent's behavior. Kelly's theory of attribution to causal judgment dealt with an external and internal attribution that dealt with Heider's theory. His attributions consisted of the choice between external attribution and internal attribution. Also, the procedure of arriving at these external or internal attributions in analogous to experimental methodology. Social comparison. According to Corcoran, Crucis, and Musweller, social comparison is a comparison between self and others, which are psychological mechanisms that influence people's judgments, experiences, and behaviors. Social comparison deals with social communication, as Fetzinger discussed in his theory, and that there is importance to everyone with information and opinions of others. People desire a social comparison with others so they can maintain a view of themselves. They compare themselves to others so they can meet an objective standard they set. Not always do people desire feedback from others, but they still try and maintain a positive self-image. People compare themselves to others they come in contact with to somehow get an approval of how they look or act. They feel that they have to be at a level of others to be accepted and to be of self-worth. As a society, people need to stop comparing themselves to others and just be accepting of who they are. God made us all in His image, and we should be accepting of how He made us. Conclusion. After reviewing all the materials from this week, there were a lot of things that came to mind when trying to ask these two questions. But the questions that come to mind that are most relevant are: do you feel self-concept is influenced by an individual's culture, and why? As I look at this question, I feel that our culture has influenced our self-concept because we live in a time when the ways which we were taught and the rules by which our parents have set has installed how we view ourselves and our society. We value everyone's opinion about ourselves because of how some of us were brought up in the society that we live in. As Kaysen, Finn, and Marcus discussed self-concept, it is the sum total of beliefs that people have about themselves. They gain this information from how society sees them and how they view themselves from the comparison of others. The next question that comes to mind is, does social media have a negative effect on a Christian? I feel in some ways that it does. As in the scripture, Galatians 6:4 and 5. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden. King James Version. I know there are good pages on Facebook that help Christians with prayers and concerns, but then there are so many more that are degrading and hurtful. God also told us in James 3:16, for where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. King James Version. When we see what others have, we find ourselves wanting what they have, or we see people we would like to look like or just be like. These things are so the work of the devil, as he is always working and trying to make us forget we are Christians and what we stand for. If we do use social media, be careful of the things that lurk in the dark. Remember, the devil is always watching and waiting for you.